Namaskar, Salam Walaikum. India and the United Arab Emirates share a strong bond of friendship. Their close ties are rooted in millennia-old cultural, religious and economic ties. Centuries ago, there used to be barter trade between the two regions. Before the discovery of oil in the UAE, trade was dominated by traditional items such as dates, pearls and fish. But with the discovery of oil, trade ties took a new turn. Abu Dhabi started exporting oil to India in 1962. And from 1971, when UAE emerged as a unified entity, exports from India started growing gradually. What added more impetus to the trade and investment ties is the fact that by the early 1990s, Dubai had emerged as a regional trading hub. That was the same time when the economic liberalization process started in India. Today, the trade ties are well diversified. In 2021, UAE was India's third largest trading partner, and India was UAE's second largest trading partner. But since there was more potential in the bilateral economic partnership, in 2022, both countries decided to seal a landmark agreement called the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement. That visionary agreement has in it the roadmap to expand bilateral trade and investment many-fold. It's been 1 year since the rollout of the CEPA. So how was the agreement reached in the first place? What has changed since then? What has been the bedrock of this agreement? Should the agreement be seen purely from the lens of trade and economy? And what lies ahead? We examine that next. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to the UAE in 2015. An ice-breaking visit that ended a hiatus of 34 years, as the last visit of an Indian Prime Minister to the UAE was way back in 1981. In a special gesture, the then Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, who is currently the President of UAE, received the Prime Minister at the Abu Dhabi airport. A ceremonial welcome followed. It was a landmark visit for various reasons. Chief among them was that the two countries decided to enhance the profile of their economic partnership. In other words, the visit placed great emphasis on improving trade and investment ties between the two countries. One of the first hints of the direction in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi wanted UAE investments to flow in India was implicit in his visit to Masdar city in Abu Dhabi. Masdar is an eco-friendly city that relies on solar energy and other renewable energy sources. An ardent advocate of green growth himself, Prime Minister met business leaders in Masdar city with whom he discussed investment possibilities, particularly in the realm of urban development. India has since not only been peer learning and implementing such best practices in the realm of sustainable development, but has also broken new ground by proposing and backing visionary initiatives aimed at a decarbonized development path for the world.
हम सोलार एनर्जी इक्विपमेंट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग भी वहां चाहते हैं, हम सोलार एनर्जी इंस्टॉलमेंट भी चाहते हैं, हम पावर जनरेशन की दिशा में जाना चाहते हैं और ग्लोबल वार्मिंग की जो चिंता है दुनिया की, वी आर 1/6 पॉपुलेशन ऑफ द वर्ल्ड। अगर हम एक कदम चलते हैं, एक कदम सुधार करते हैं तो दुनिया की 1/6 समस्या का समाधान देते हैं।
During PM Modi's 2015 visit, India and UAE had a well-balanced bilateral trade of $50 billion. And UAE was among the top investors in India in terms of foreign direct investments. But the leaders knew that there was untapped potential in bilateral economic ties and were keen to optimize the economic relationship. And so, a joint statement at the conclusion of the visit mentioned UAE's intention to invest $75 billion in next generation infrastructure in India, especially in railways, ports, roads, airports, industrial corridors and parks.
Till now, about $12 billion has already been invested and it is an ongoing process. One of their national sovereign fund, that is ADIA, Abu Dhabi Investment Agency, has already invested $1 billion in National Investment Infrastructure Fund.
During that visit, India and the UAE agreed to boost trade by 60% over the next 5 years. That visit laid the groundwork for what was to come in future. Carrying forward the momentum injected by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first visit to the UAE, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the then Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, arrived in India on a 3-day visit in February 2016. Over the 3 days of his visit to Delhi and Mumbai, India and UAE exchanged agreements in the realms of cyber security, infrastructure investment, renewable energy, currency swap arrangements, insurance, culture, and skill development. During that visit, he went to the Bombay Stock Exchange. Established in 1875, BSE is India's oldest stock exchange. His visit to BSE stood out as it is rare for a de facto head of state to visit a stock exchange. There, he rang the ceremonial gong to mark the closing of BSE trading of the day, met BSE's officials and a number of business persons, discussed with them the remarkable growth in economic relations between the two countries, and wished for even greater buoyancy in ties. In a joint statement released at the conclusion of the 2016 visit, India and UAE welcomed the opening of DP World's new smart port Nhava Sheva in Mumbai on 12th February and the signing of a framework memorandum of understanding between India and the UAE aimed at facilitating and expanding the participation of Emirati investors in infrastructure projects in India. The two sides described it as an important step towards reaching the target of $75 billion for UAE's investments in India's infrastructure development plans. Headquartered in Dubai, DP World is a leading provider of worldwide smart end-to-end supply chain logistics. In India, it supports the biggest chunk of container trade.
DP World has been the first public-private operator in India in the port sector when we partnered with the Jawaharlal Nehru Port in 1997. And that sort of has been the fountainhead of very many PPP concessions which followed. And thereafter, we have gone about strengthening our entire logistic ecosystem by firming in our businesses across ports and terminals, across contract logistics, across cold chain, rail logistics, what have you. Now, all this is significant to understand because we, as of now, handle almost a quarter of the country's EXIM volume. And we have invested into a joint investment platform with the National Investment Infrastructure Fund, which aims to invest $3 billion in the logistics space in offering digital logistic solutioning for customers, which eventually will bring the cost of logistics down and make Indian products more competitive both globally and domestically.
A precursor to DP World's Mumbai terminal was its Cochin terminal, whose first phase out of a total of 3 phases was commissioned in February 2011. DP World Cochin became India's first transshipment terminal and the first container terminal to operate in an SEZ. It is part of the Cochin port in Kochi and is well connected to major cargo generating ports on the east and west coasts of India through a coastal feeder network.
DP World Cochin was set up in 2011 and as we speak right now has handled close to 6 million containers since its inception. So this terminal was set up with state-of-the-art equipment, with direct rail connectivity coming right inside the terminal, with a 4-lane highway connectivity to the highways, and also with coastal connectivity by sea to almost all the ports in India as well as the neighboring countries.
Following the visit, Dubai Holding, a global investment management company based in the UAE, initiated the Kochi Smart City project in Kerala in collaboration with the state government of Kerala. Kochi Smart City is being developed across 246 acres and is said to be home to knowledge-based businesses that aim to serve their global clientele from the Indian subcontinent. "2017 marked the opening of a new horizon in the India-UAE relationship. That year, India invited the then Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi again, and it was during this visit that the bilateral relationship was upgraded to comprehensive strategic partnership.
That was an important gesture from India. It was our way of showing to the world that this person and this relationship is really important for us. And you know, I could see the impact when I went back to Abu Dhabi after the strategic partnership agreement. So I guess the point I want to make is it isn't just the document, it isn't just the agreement. It is all of the symbolism that it carries, all of the optics of it, and you're declaring to the world that this is a crucial relationship for both of us.
This time, the Crown Prince was accorded the distinct honor of being the chief guest for the 2017 Republic Day celebrations from 24th to 26th January 2017. contingent of 179 UAE soldiers from their army, navy and air force marched down the Rajpath known as Kartavya Path, accompanied by their military band. UAE became only the second country after France to send its troops to participate in India's Republic Day parade.
Band of the UAE comprising 35 musicians.
During the 2017 visit, an agreement of strategic significance was signed between the Indian Strategic Petroleum Reserves Limited or ISPRL and the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company or ADNOC to store ADNOC's crude in underground rock caverns in Karnataka. That agreement began the transformation of India-UAE relations from a buyer-seller relationship into a bilateral energy security partnership. It also formed the basis of Abu Dhabi's decision to give the first ever oil concession to India in the Zakham oil field.
For us, it was the first time that any foreign country was participating in India's Strategic Reserves Program. And that shows how much of importance India lays on the relationship between our two countries. And having moved on about 6 years since then, now we are in the process of discussing with ADNOC participation in the second phase of ISPRL.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's second visit to the UAE was in February 2018 for the World Government Summit, where India was the guest of honor.
अब टेक्नोलॉजी विचार की गति से बदल रही है, यानी एट द स्पीड ऑफ थॉट। आवश्यकता ही आविष्कार की जननी नहीं रही, आविष्कार आवश्यकताओं को जन्म दे रहे हैं।
In 2019, the UAE further cemented the India-UAE bilateral relationship when its president conferred upon Prime Minister Narendra Modi Order of Zayed, the highest decoration awarded to select heads of foreign governments.
It wasn't just the decision to give the award, but also the timing. This was barely 2 weeks after the decision of the government to revoke Article 370. Our neighbor Pakistan was trying its best to rouse sentiment against India in the Arab world, thinking that it would naturally get support on its flawed agenda from these countries. And to the contrary, you had the leadership of UAE, all of them present at the airport to receive the Prime Minister. So it is a very public, very visible gesture of friendship by UAE to India.
In February 2022, bilateral trade relations took a quantum leap with the signing of the India-UAE Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement or CEPA at a virtual summit between the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Indian Prime Minister.
Goyalji and the Minister of Economy of the United Arab Emirates, His Excellency Abdullah Duke Al Mahdi, to exchange the Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement signed between India and the UAE.
The signing coincided with the 75th year of India's independence, Golden Jubilee year of the formation of the UAE, and 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and UAE. CEPA was the first of its kind agreement signed by India in the Middle East and North Africa region, and the first by the UAE with any country of the world.
Many deals take years and years to come, but here we could believe in each other, we could talk to each other. We used to do a VC every second or third day, and I could just pick up the phone and talk to my counterpart and resolve any issue on the phone itself, and likewise Dr. Thani could just pick up the phone and talk to me. Our officials built up a wonderful rapport, and both economies complement each other.
Our goal was to create a platform for deeper cooperation between our nations that will reap considerable long-term rewards. In the past 12 months, it has helped to catalyze investment flows and joint ventures in priority sectors. The UAE private sector is committing billions of dollars to food security, renewable energy, logistics, and retail projects right across India, while thousands of Indian companies are now registering with our chambers of commerce and find new opportunities in our markets.
Somebody asked me, somebody in a decision-making situation, what is in it for India? What do you gain from it? So I had a very simple answer. UAE is a peculiar country. Out of the entire population, 3.5 million people are actually Indians out of 10 million. So actually 35% of the people are there who are Indians. If we have this CEPA, somebody said, we will set up a huge factory there. And then think of it, suppose it's an aluminium factory or a copper factory. It's such an interesting factory. The investors are Indians, the factory managers will be Indians, the employees there are probably going to be Indians, the remittances of the workers are going to come back to India, the product will be sold in India, and the profits are again coming back to India. This is something very unique about the UAE CEPA, that the entire chain of benefits flows back to India in some way or the other.
The CEPA agreement, 888 pages, was finalized and signed in 88 days. So less than 3 months, or about 3 months, the whole agreement was finalized and signed.
The landmark deal reduced tariffs on about 80% of all goods and provided access without duty to 90% of Indian exports.
CEPA offered elimination of duties on 97% of UAE's tariff lines, covering 99% of imports from India. Zero duty access includes labor-intensive sectors like gems and jewelry, textiles, leather, footwear, etc., which will all be beneficial for Indian industry.
These confidence-building measures have led to some of our businesses like Tata AIA Insurance Services, Titan iPlus, to set up their base in UAE over the last 12 months. Additionally, we've also seen an expanded footprint in our retail, hospitality, and aviation businesses.
CEPA came into force on 1st May 2022 and has since unleashed new opportunities in bilateral trade. It set out with a goal of increasing bilateral trade in goods to $100 billion and trade in services to $15 billion within 5 years.
The trade figures between India and UAE was about $185 million. That was in 1985. In 2022, the trade figures reached to $60 billion. During the implementation, in 6 months' time, we could see a high rise in the trade between UAE and India. More than 10% hike in the bilateral trade.
This only being the first year of the CEPA, I think we still have huge potential to grow this business, and I'm sure the business persons of both countries will relentlessly pursue the opportunities that this agreement offers.
The new trade and investment regime brought in by CEPA is being welcomed in both India and the UAE.
For Indian manufacturers, the gold has become cheaper, with 1% cheaper gold available from UAE to India. At the same time, the Indian jewellery exports to UAE has become 5% cheaper in comparison to other competing nation jewellery like Malaysia and etc. If that is the case, we have seen in 1 year the jewellery exports to UAE has grown by 15.6%, which is a huge number. And if it grows like that, in very short time we will be reaching $9 billion, which was pre-COVID level. Not only that, we have also seen the big time retailers like Tanishq, Malabar, Senco, everybody is setting shop there, and the way the retail jewellery sales of Indian jewellery is growing in UAE, that is the right output of India-UAE CEPA.
Pre-CEPA, the UAE-India business was booming, but after the signing of CEPA, it has actually become very, very easy to trade. The Indian government has offered 1% discount on the import duty for bullion, and the UAE government has been magnanimous. They have offered a 0% import duty for jewelry made in India. This is a fantastic win-win combination because the Indian tax laws are a little more stringent than UAE, and UAE, it is a better trade place or a more freer environment to trade. So the jewelers are taking advantage of both.
Our group, Lulu Group, sources agricultural products from all over world and from India also. I'm happy to say that due to the CEPA agreement, our volume exports from India has increased to 10 to 12, 13%.
Last year was a difficult year for exports. The world economy was, going through a lot of turmoil, both recession as well as global geopolitical crisis. India-UAE trade was rising in spite of adverse circumstances. Our trade with UAE rose faster than our trade with the rest of the world.
CEPA is much beyond trade. CEPA is an issue of trust. It's an issue of exploiting the opportunities between our countries, whether it's in the field of economics, investments, even other opportunities in other areas like health, IT, and so many other areas.
India and UAE took another significant step in strengthening their comprehensive strategic partnership with the unveiling of the joint vision document during the leaders' virtual summit in February 2022. Titled New Frontiers, New Milestones, this document charts the pathway towards a shared future.
It goes into areas like fintech, cybersecurity, climate change, payment systems, and so many other new areas. It also includes a decision to establish a campus of the Indian Institute of Technology in Abu Dhabi. I think the vision document will actually start a new epoch in our bilateral relationship.
If a picture is worth 1,000 words, this image of the warm embrace between UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi was worth 1,000,000. Sheikh Mohammed went well beyond diplomatic protocol to receive PM Modi at the presidential airport in Abu Dhabi on 28 June 2022. Prime Minister had arrived in Abu Dhabi after attending the G7 summit in Germany. This was a gesture by a statesman to pay his personal condolences on the passing away of His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the former UAE President and Abu Dhabi ruler. The Prime Minister also took the opportunity to congratulate His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on his election as the new President of UAE and ruler of Abu Dhabi.
The personal chemistry between our leaders not only guides our bilateral relations, but also goes into a much wider arena. We strongly feel that UAE has a very important role to play at the global arena. And the first initiative, concrete initiative we can all see is India, UAE, Israel and the US coming together to form the I2U2.
India is the president of G20 in 2023. Saudi Arabia is the only Middle Eastern country in G20, but India has been inviting the UAE to G20 meetings as a special guest. UAE will be participating in the group's summit in New Delhi in September. While CEPA marks the beginning of a robust bilateral economic framework between India and the UAE, as a multilateral grouping, G20 continues to take up trade and investment related issues. Both India and the UAE thus stand to gain if G20 were to inject a degree of certainty in a disrupted trade environment and leverage possibilities in emerging areas like digital trade.
Our stakeholders have been participating at the ministerial level in every single working group or in the very senior level from the respective government entities. This is going to continue, and we are fully supportive of the Indian presidency of the G20 all the way to the summit, and after the summit with our COP28 presidency as well.
1 year since CEPA's rollout, India and the UAE are expanding the economic horizon by sealing multilateral economic partnerships such as under the I2U2. Dubai is set to host the COP28 conference later this year. UAE thus promises to be the next destination for bilateral and multilateral agreements in the energy sector. That may well be the next big moment in the India-UAE economic partnership. Thanks for watching. Shukran.